Hey, welcome to another video. Very happy to have you here. My name is Blake, and if this is your first time, welcome to the channel. I'm very excited to share some of the strategies and techniques that work for me and my account with Merch by Amazon. If you're already a subscriber, welcome back. Always happy to have you here. So I just want to give you a quick preface. I started Merch about a year ago. It was June, July of 2017, and I set some early goals because I was working at a pizzeria at the time, and in my town, and I really wanted to leave the pizzeria because I was pulling 12-hour shifts, and it was just a grind. So I had this motivation, right, to do well, and so I basically started. And I listened to everything I could find on Merch, everything I could watch, hear, listen, and I just kind of immersed myself, and then I got to work. And so now a year later, I've left my pizza job. I've experienced days on Merch where I made $500 a day, $1,000 a day, $1,500 a day, and beyond. And so I've experienced the rush of success with Merch. And then now that this is basically my income, at least one of my income streams, I could quit my pizza job. Anyway, that's the intro to show you. So this is what I've learned from kind of watching people who are doing really well from my own experiences, and hopefully this is useful to you guys because if you think about it, this is really just the beginning. All right, let's jump right into it. So the number one key to doing well with Merch, at least when it came to my account, was being consistent. And that means whatever your tier level, it doesn't have to be a certain number. It's more about the consistent aspect of it. It's setting a daily routine, a ritual, a schedule that you stick to. If you commit, I recommend starting at a low number. You're like, you know what, I'm just going to put up one shirt per day. We underestimate the value of compound effect, right? If you just stick to it, one, what happens is often, as a byproduct, you end up uploading more than that anyways, right? But if that's your minimum, it's almost like you can't help but increase your odds of making sales, right? So that was my goal. And since I started around June, July last year, and I had my end goal was that I wanted to sell 100 shirts a week because that would basically equate to how much money I was making at the pizzeria, and so I would feel okay leaving that job, right? And the way I did that is I basically set certain targets, and I said I'm going to be uploading this much per day. And in the beginning, just getting up 3-4 shirts a day was really hard. And then I slowly, as you get better and better at it, you start to realize how you can bundle uploads and work only with one niche at a time, and you start getting better at it. Because then once we got tiered up, and now we had 10 slots. This is back in 2017. We could upload 10 shirts a day. It was like really overwhelming. 20 shirts a day, really overwhelming. Then it went 40, 60, 100. I couldn't even imagine it, right? And now I'm at a very high tier where I have 500 uploads a day. I think a lot of us do now because we have so much more products, so many more platforms, marketplaces, international. Things are different now. But still, it's really key. And a lot of the big players, no matter their advantage, even people who started back in 2015, the reason they're so big now is because they were actually consistent with their uploads. So this is, for me, the number one key to success. And even today, though I do have a nice stream coming in from Merch, I'm still making it a point to be consistent about the uploads, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. All right, the next one is something, if you guys haven't heard of it, I'll be surprised if you haven't, but there's this, Matt and Aaron, they're called Merch Elephant. And one of the things they push, one of the ideas, you can check it out on YouTube, Merch Elephant, or join the group with RJ and Matt. It's Merch by Amazon Mastermind, I believe. Really cool group. And one of the things that they're pushing, Merch Elephant, is this idea of standing out. So now, back in the day, 2015, 16, 17, we could do this thing where we basically look at what's already selling and bring a better version to market, kind of like an improved version of it with a better design at a competitive price, and you'll probably sell, right? Just because the customer's getting a better option. The thing is that still works, but it doesn't work as well now because there's so much more competition. Everyone's doing the same thing. So what would make the sale, right, is actually now standing out, having a really sick design that is actually creative and different. And there's another really cool figure in the merch space called Michael Essany. You can check out him, and he has a great newsletter called Merch Momentum, where he puts a ton of research. And he really stands by this principle as well, which is you need to stand out, be creative, bring a new design to market. Because what happens is customers get a kind of banner blindness. Let's say they're searching a phrase like funny mermaid shirt, right? Or cute mermaid shirt, and they're kind of scrolling through the options. they kind of start to see the same themes over and over again, and you start to get kind of blind to the things that you already see, right? And then if you have something that just stands out because it's so different and unique, you have a huge chance of also creating a really hot shirt that starts a trend on its own, right? And then all of a sudden, of course, people will gravitate to that, make improved versions. But because yours was so unique, you have all that sales already, and it'll stand out at the top of the page. So that's a big, really important key. A lot of also Ken Reel, big guy on merch, started way back. Also, this is one of his big principles. It's like stand out. Don't kind of make average, better, improved versions. Bring it to the market, right? Make a unique design, and also have a sense of kind of pride about what you're putting out. Just a quick caveat there is don't be so attached to your design and that when it doesn't sell, to kind of be stubborn about, yeah, my design is so good, I'm surprised it's not selling. So of course have a sense of pride about it, but be hyper analytical about the data and just see like, okay, the market is not responding to this design, or maybe I have to tweak my keywords and then to adjust in that sense, right? Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Number 3, big key to crushing out merch by Amazon is controlling traffic. So now if you look at who the top sellers every day are on merch by Amazon, you probably see dudes like Shane Dawson or Marvel or Disney. These are big brands that have their own traffic, right? They have their own followings. And so that's one of probably the biggest future that I can see for merch by Amazon is this collaborative aspect between brands and print on demand, right? And offering merchandise to your fans. And so I think one of the biggest tips that you could give now to set yourself apart from competition is right now start working on a brand, whether it's on social media or on YouTube, something like that, where you're growing a sense of community around a shared kind of love and topic. And what happens then is you start to control traffic, because so many of us, myself included, we're running organic traffic merch by Amazon, right? Which means we're all competing for the same kind of keywords. But when you're driving your own traffic, you basically share a post with your fans or your community and saying, hey, we just released this new series of shirts. It's really sick. Check it out. You're controlling the traffic. And what happens is Amazon rewards external traffic boosts even more. So if they see that a particular shirt is getting a ton of external traffic, they bump it up even more as a reward because they love it, right? Because it's basically, they've been given traffic for free from an external source, so they will reward that in itself. It's like one of the most underused beneficial kind of things you can do with merch by Amazon right now is growing a brand. If you think of these two guys, the Jersey Merch crew, also really great folks in the merch by Amazon space, I believe they're working on a Pinterest account, and they've been doing this for the past few months, and I believe their Q4 is going to be epic because they've just been growing this Pinterest account on the side, steady. They have a huge kind of following now that if they just slip in one of their shirts, right, if it's kind of like a cool, trendy, holiday-themed shirt, they drive tons of traffic to it. Amazon loves it, right, because they love external traffic. They boost that up, and all of a sudden, they slice through the competition because there might have been 5,000, 10,000 competing shirts for that phrase, right, if it's a popular phrase. Like there's a big, one of the big phrases in Christmas just says believe, and it might have a unicorn or like a Santa hat, things like that. And if you're just driving your own traffic, yours is going to shoot to the top of their ranking. So huge, absolutely huge. If you want to really do well in the next year, if you're thinking a bit more long term, start a brand, start some kind of following, build a system where you can control the traffic to send to shirts. And just as a last point here, AMS it's just kind of being rolled out again with some really cool things where you can create stores specific to certain niches and you can market them with the Amazon's thing, which is great. But I still think it's equally, if not more important, to start your brand on social media, things like that, right? Okay, hopefully that was a useful key. Now the next one, and these are, in my opinion, they kind of stack all these keys, right? They're all important and they can all take you to the next level. So this one is research. Now, there's a cool concept called fattening your niches. And what that means is you basically, whenever you're putting a design to the market, let's say you're putting up a cat shirt, that's your niche, right? Cats. Or it could even, you can even be more specific, right? A certain type of cat, like Siamese cats. I don't know cats. I'm guessing that's a type of cat, okay? So now what you do is, but first you want to research, like, is this a healthy niche? Is there a lot of demand? Is there a lot of purchasing? Is there actually, like, what is the ceiling on the amount of sales I can make in this niche, right? So it's so important to deep dive in there because let's say you find a strong niche, then you want to increase your presence in the niche, which is called, you want to make your niche fat. have more hooks in there, increase the odds of you making sales. But the foundation of all that is research. And so I know some of the best sellers out there, they're spending a couple hours a day in their daily ritual, which comes back to the first key, which is consistency. They're spending a couple hours a day just researching. Nothing else. Just seeing what's selling, going through things. Oh, did I consider this niche? How is this niche doing currently in my portfolio? Should I add more designs to that niche? Kind of make it fatter, increase my presence, increase my odds of making the sale? Are there new untapped, uncharted territories? And there always is with Amazon, right? Because it's such a huge marketplace with 2 billion visitors a month. So research really can really make or break your account. And one of the ways I grew really fast, in less than 6 months, 0 to 10K a month and beyond, was research. I spent a lot of time just researching and just trying to find a way to bring kind of new, cool designs to the market. It's like we cannot stress, I don't know what the word is, the importance. I can't stress enough the importance of research. And then also just a fun fact, like research doesn't have to be this hard, nitty gritty, just scrolling through BSRs all day. I just read a great interview with a seller where she basically says like she doesn't really do that. She goes out, she interacts with, she's a parent, so she interacts with other parents, she goes to school, and she basically brings her kids to sport clubs and teams, and then maybe like choir practice, or whatever their hobbies are, right? And in that process she's touching all these different niches throughout the day, and you get so many ideas because you're speaking the language and you're living it. So also don't ignore your lifestyle. Your lifestyle plays a huge role in it. Let's say you go to an office or you work at a cafe. There's so much lingo, terminology, niche-specific things that you can write around your lifestyle. So don't underplay your own life. There's so much there, right? Like one example that I put is I love taking cold showers. I got into this guy called Wim Hof, and it's kind of fun. It's stimulating, and anyway, it's a bit crazy. What I then did is I saw there was like very little like offering online for like cold showers. So I started putting up shirts around cold showers. Like, oh, I love taking cold showers. Just kind of like cold shower themed stuff, like fully in, like breathe, or brr. Cold showers is my addiction or whatever. Okay. I just tried to do the BRRR word phonetically. So the point of that is, because I had an innate passion about it, it somehow sold, right? So now I added a few more evergreens to my portfolio that I was trying to replicate the process of just getting thousands of shirts that's just sold a few times a month, and it worked. Now that said, also the caveat here is don't just assume because you love something that other people will buy shirts around that. So it's a balance, right? Try it out if you want. Just notice that your daily lifestyle has a lot of juice in terms of t-shirt ideas, and not necessarily t-shirt, because Merch by Amazon now is expanding, right? So now we've got pop sockets, we've got hoodies, and I think just around the corner, because they're doing a lot of beta testing, there's so many other products that they're going to add, because their goal is to take over the just print-on-demand industry, point blank, right? Worldwide. They're crazy. Which ties in neatly to the fifth key here, which is scale. So I really started to see some of the great growth after, like in the transition to tier 500, which is very exciting back then. It was quite hard to tier up. They're a lot more liberal now because you have 3 marketplaces currently. You have more products, so they want to give you more options, right? But back then they were a bit more kind of like tougher and restricted, right? But so the point of this key is that volume plays a huge role in increasing your odds and chances of making the sale. So it can be tough. The beginning is tough. I didn't see sales for like a couple months. I actually bought my way out of the first couple tiers. For my first month on merch, I once a day just bought one of my shirts, which ties back to the first key, which is being consistent about certain habits and rituals, right? I bought one shirt a day for certain occasions, whether it was for my boss at work, whether it was for my mom, whether it was for our house. I made a few t-shirts for our house, which just says house guest, if we're ever having people over, just give them that shirt. So basically, the point of that is, I didn't see any results until I had more shirts up. And the great thing about that is, with every shirt you're putting out, if you're filling your daily uploads, you're just increasing your odds of making the sale. Of course, you want to stack all the other keys on top of that, right? You want to stand out, you want to somehow control traffic, whether it's through good SEO, you want to have good research, and you want to be kind of consistent about your process. But just do that again and again and again, and at volume. And a lot of people will maybe point their fingers at some of the old people who got in very early into merch. You know, in 2015, like they have 3 years on us. And so no wonder they have really fat, like entrenched portfolios with tons of reviews. But the thing is, they put up so many shirts. They played the volume game. They were consistent, right? They did their research and they hustled for it. So it's not a get rich quick like thing as such. If you put in the work, it can really reward you, which is kind of what I saw last year because I was focused, right? So the point of this key is basically scale. Volume really matters. So this is kind of more for the people in like tier 10 to 100, sometimes 500, where they're just like, I'm not seeing the sales that I want. And it's just like, listen, like you're going to increase your odds the more shirts or products that you put up, right? The more designs you put up, the better research you do, the more you grow your brand and drive your own traffic to there, right? The more you stand out. It's the scaling game, right? Volume, it's just a hard maths. It'll increase your odds. So that's those are my 5 keys to merch success that I found work really well for me, and hopefully that these can work well for you and that they're useful to you. The merch has been a really fun and exciting journey for me. And I remember starting out, and I was obsessed with it. I couldn't go to bed. I was listening to podcasts all day long. I actually bought like these overpriced courses. Which it's just part of the rush of like really wanted to crush it. And I also had the dark days where you're just like weeks are going by and my family's like, you're wasting time with this. You're spending all this time and where are the results, right? The results are kind of under the surface. You're sowing seeds, and eventually harvest time comes. And harvest time typically is in Q4. And Q4 is around the corner. So this is kind of like a nice reminder that it's worth hustling for Q4 because, my brother, he started merch last year and he only had like 25 shirts, less than 25 shirts up. And in a month he made $700 from 25 shirts up. So just kind of think about the possibility. Like it gets very exciting. And remember that also if you're in this for a bit more long term, that this is just the beginning. I mean, like there's people who got into merch three years ago, but even now, if you get in 2018, like I can barely imagine what merch will look like 1 year from now, or 2 years from now, or 10 years later. I cannot fathom it. So thank you very much for watching. This has been quite a long video. It's like we're pushing 17, 18 minutes now. I really appreciate sticking through. If this was useful in any way, feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Do your thing. I think I'll link a couple of videos here if you want to keep doing that. And I wish you the best of success and the best of luck with Merch by Amazon, or the best of hustle if it's not a lucky thing. Thank you.